Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Crosby and today we'll be working on a digital clock or digital clock, however you choose to call it. So this tutorial will be walking you through every step, guiding you so you can follow along. I'm just trying a mix of tutorial format. So let me know what you think about this particular style, and I'll make adjustments as well. Okay, so in this digital clock that we'll be building, we will just need JavaScript and a little bit of CSS, and basically that will be it. So when you put the browser into full screen mode, it kind of gives a very nice, appealing look and feel to the whole thing. So we'll be building that today, and hope you like it, and please comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. Okay, let's get into it. So first I'll create a folder and name it something. I'm naming mine as digital clock. So I'm going to right click and open it with VS Code. VS Code is a text editor. You can use any text editor of your choice though. So I'll create an index.html file, and then I'll create a CSS file as well. Okay, so with the exclamation mark is emit snippet for HTML. I think, yeah. Okay, so we'll say digital clock. And then we'll link our CSS file. Okay, so now that we have that in place, let's add the basic HTML structure. So I'll have a main div and name it as a container, clock container. That will house everything that we're going to build. Then we are going to have a random div as well with no class. You can put a class, that's personal preference. And then I'll have another div that will be named, a digital clock. This is where all the fancy numbers will show at. And then we'll have one for the date as well right below. So I'll name that as clock year, or probably clock date. Okay, so now that we have the clock date in place, let's work on the basic divs or structure for the digital clock itself. So we'll have the clock hours. For the start, we'll just put zeros in there, and then I'll have a clock separator. And put bullet points in there. Let me just copy and then edit. So this will be seconds. This will be minutes. So now that we have the basic structure there, let's right click and open with live server. Okay, so currently this is how our clock looks like, and let me go ahead and put zeros in place of the clock date. Okay, so now that we have the clock HTML structure in place, let's go ahead and start styling it. So I'm going to open the CSS to the side so that you can see the markup as well as the CSS. So what I'll target is I'll remove the default margin and pattern for the HTML and then the body. And then set the width to the view width and then the height to the 100% of the view height so that it takes the entire screen size. So now we will target the clock container. But before that, let's go ahead and apply some basic styling to all the elements. So I don't want the element to have extra sizes when I apply a pattern to any of them. So what I will say is I'll put asterisk here. The asterisk targets all the elements in HTML. So and set the box size into border box. So that will take care of what I want to achieve with it. And let's go ahead and style the clock container. Then we'll go and grab a Google font and then bring it here. So clock container. Okay, so to the clock container, I'll apply a width of 100% and a height of 100%. This will assume the width and height of the body and the HTML. So that's how come I set both to 100%. And then I'll set a background color of dark or black, black rather. And then I'll set the color to white, but I'll do it using the RGB color code format. So that is it. So now let's go to the browser and preview. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so now what we want to achieve is we want to bring the clock right at the center, the clock and the year. So this is the clock and then this is the year. Let me write year over there to make it simpler to identify. Okay, so the clock and then the year. So now let's put the entire clock in the middle. So to the clock container, I would say set the display property to grid, and then I'll set place items to center. Okay, so we've been able to achieve that. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and go grab a font from Google Fonts. So what you need to search is font.google.com. So I already done that in my browser. So we come here. So this is how I selected the font type that I wanted. So I wanted something that looks clocky. So just type in over there. Sorry, 45 or 49. And then what I came to uncheck all the other font types and left sans serif. And I scroll through to check which one. This will look cool. Okay. So you can go through and then choose a font type that you want. So I think I chose in the system. Okay, I got it now. Reggiani or something. Yeah. So you click on the font type that you want, and then you select the font weight that you will need. For me, I selected almost all the styles. Yes, I was just testing, so I chose almost all the styles. And then I'm going to import this font through CSS. So you click on the import over here. By default, it's the link. And when you decide to go with a link, you will have to copy this link and paste it inside the HTML side. But when you come to the import, you can copy it and paste it in the CSS side. Okay, so now that we have the font, let me go ahead, and what you have to also notice is you have to paste it at the very top of the CSS file so that it's imported before anything else loads. And then one extra step is they help you out with font fallbacks in case it takes too long to load. What other fonts should it load from the user system? So to everything, the asterisk, remember from what I explained earlier, it targets everything. So everything's font family will be set to Reggiani, and then the fallback font will be sans serif. Okay, so let's go ahead and style the digital clock itself. So let's close this off. I want these items to be lined side by side horizontally. So that's what I'm coming to do here. So I'll set display to flex and then save it. You realize now we have all the items in one line. Okay, so one more step for the clock container. We have to set the text alignment to center. Okay, now everything is centered. So back to the digital clock. So what we say is we will reduce the font weight. By default, it's 400. So we set the font weight to 200, and then we will set the font size to be 15 EM, and then we set a transition to be 0.2 seconds or 200 milliseconds, and then apply this style to every item, and then the animation time frame will be easing out. Okay, so now let's go ahead and preview. So we have this particular item over there. Okay, so now that we have that applied for the digital clock, let's go ahead and apply some basic styling to the clock, the hours, minutes, and seconds. So since we are going to apply the same styling for all those three elements, I'll put them in line and separate each of them with a comma. So to all those three elements, this is what I would say the max width should be 241 pixels, and then the width should be 100%. And then I'm aligning the text to be to the center, and then applying a transition of 0.7 seconds for all items, all properties, and it should ease in out. Okay, so it works perfectly. So to the clock date, I'll say set the pattern to be 10 pixels. I'll set the color to be white, but I'll reduce the opacity of the white color to half of them, 50% or 0.5. And then I'll set the text alignment. Sorry, text alignment has already been set. The font size should be 24 pixels. So now let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and put in some actual time over here. So 14, 20, 34, and then maybe in December 2020. Okay, so this how it looks like. Let's go ahead and apply some responsive styling. So if you're on Firefox, I use Firefox developer version, so but this shortcut will apply to every Firefox browser as well. So when you do that, it gives you a kind of responsive UI to preview your code, as in on different mobile devices. So right now, when we start reducing the screen width, you realize some of the text gets hidden. So to fix this in responsive text, what we need to do is to adjust the font sizes as the screen grows smaller. So what we do here is set the media screen. What this particular block of code means is if the user's screen size is equal to 999 pixels or less than 999 pixels, then apply these particular styles that we are about to define. So to the digital clock, we will set the font size to 10 here. I'll go ahead and copy this block of code and modify the values for the different screen sizes that we have. Okay, so now let's go ahead and preview our responsive code and see how it works. You realize it automatically animates itself based on the screen sizes. Okay, so now let's go ahead and preview it in our browser. Okay, so this is how it looks like, but I want to pull the date up a little bit. So let's go ahead and do that. So to the clock date, I'll set the transform property to translate Y and then pull it up 40 pixels. Let's preview in our browser. So now it looks more presentable now. So let me comment this out. It used to be down here. Okay, so now it has moved up. Okay. By realizing on mobile, this like a tablet sort of view. Okay. Okay, so now that we have our basic responsiveness and CSS structure in place as well, let's go ahead and start working on this project with the JavaScript. So over here, I'll write the JavaScript inside the HTML file. So let me go ahead and close off the CSS to make more room. So I'll have a script tag and I'll get all the elements that I want to modify with JavaScript. Okay, so now that we've been able to get all the elements that we want to modify, let's go ahead and create start our timer. Okay. So the set interval function takes two parameters. One will be a function that will be run every time you specify. The second parameter is the time frame that you want to specify. So the 1000 over here represents 1 second. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll create a date variable. So when you check the now property, it basically tells you I'll press F12 to get the time now. Okay, so it basically gets everything regarding the time right at the moment. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to set the hours. Sorry. So I'll say hours.inner HTML to be equal to now.get hours. And then my minute will be .inner HTML will be now.get minute. And then my seconds will be get seconds. Okay, so let's preview our current work, and we realize the timer is updating itself automatically. Now let's go ahead and make this look like this. Okay, so over here let me write year. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set our year. So basically this is how we are going to go about it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set the year. So I'm going to create a new variable and set it to empty string, and then create a new array and set it to now.toString. I'm converting the date, the now date, the current date to a string, and then I'll use the split property. Now what am I splitting for? I'm looking out for the empty spaces. So now let's go ahead and print the now array. So F12 again. You realize it creates an array with 9 elements. So I want the first property, which is Tuesday, 0, 1, 2, 3. We are already displaying the 4th property, and then we don't need the 5th property, but I want the 6th, 7th, and then the 8th property, or the 8th index. So that's how we're going to write it in code. So I'm going to run a for loop, and I'll say I, and then I'll say now array dot length. What I'll do is I'll say if I is less than 4, meaning the I property starts or ranges from 0 through to 4, or I is greater than 5. Remember, I want to skip the 4th and then the 5th item in the array. So that's how I'm writing this particular syntax. So I'll say today date, and then I'll concatenate it with let me do template literal. So with now array, and then the position of the I, and then put a space afterwards. So down here, what I'll say is year or clock date. Clock date should be equal to today date. Now let's save our code and preview our work and see. Inner HTML. Okay. Give me a second. Let me try and fix this. Okay, sorry. This was what's causing the error. It should be plus equals. So now we can take this guy away. Okay. So now it works. So there you have it. Our basic clock. Okay, so one other thing that I noticed, you realize when the the seconds is less than when it's less than 9, or when it's less than 10, you realize it only prints single values. For example, like see, I don't want this to be occurring to any of the any of the time elements. So to keep that, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a function and say, let me define the function outside. So what I will say is, if time dot value, if the time is less than 10, then I want to append 0, prepend 0. So I'll say return 0 and then the time. So this particular character is called backticks, and you can get that with the character close to the 1, that if you're on an extended keyboard. So I'll copy this, and if it's not less than 10, then I'll return the exact time or value. So over here, what I can say is, put the entire one in parentheses and say preserve 0. Undo. Okay, so now that we have that in place, I'll pause the video, and when it gets to the single values, I'll resume it and we will view what our code did to the digital clock. Okay, so this is what our preserve 0 did to the time, and this will apply for the minutes, seconds, and then the hours as well. And then we have our responsive clock. One other thing that I want us to apply, so let's apply that one thing, then we'll end the tutorial. Okay, so you realize we can apply when the app is viewed on a mobile device. We want to have this running in your browser, probably when you are asleep or something, and when you wake up, you just see the time, and it's something cool to see. So this brings us to the end of the tutorial, and Let me know what you think about this tutorial, and please subscribe and like if you haven't. Thank you.